Good morning. It is Tuesday, and here we are once again finding ourselves on stream, ready to build some software. So, the plan for today, my plan for today, is to spend our day working on unit tests. This is something that I have been a little lax in, and especially as we're building this Chatsino module, it's vitally important to our mission. We want to make sure that things function the way they should. We want to know that when we make changes that we're not breaking other things. And so all of that comes with actively writing tests. Generally, you would do this beforehand. You would do this, you'd write your tests and then you would create code that passes those tests. But we've not been good about that, so we're going to retroactively do a lot of that. Now, I already had some tests written, and they cover a good majority of what's going on inside the casino itself. So checking, well, I shouldn't even say the casino. I should say the evaluators. So if you think about how we know what poker hand you had, or how we know what the roulette outcome was, whether your bet won or lost, that evaluator engine for each game is designed to be able to tell us exactly what's going on and exactly exactly that it's doing what it's supposed to do, right? So when I submit a poker hand, I want to make sure that when I get two pair, that it doesn't accidentally return me that I got a pair, which is also a true condition, but not the condition we want to meet, right? So building out all of those tests let us verify that stuff without just having to click through our app and talk to it and do whatever. So that's where we're at today. So I'm just gonna jump right in. This is what we've been working on. We have a skill that we can talk to, right? We can say roll the dice. These are a bunch of the commands that I've been using to kind of test on the fly as we go. But what I really want to do is move into a world where we're running tests like this. And so this is the stuff that I'm going to do today. I have a test folder. I'm using Jest. If you guys have any questions about that, I'm happy to answer any of them. And you can see that I have a few test things here already. So let's just talk about these briefly before we get into writing a bunch of others. So we'll start with the evaluators. If you look at slots, what it's doing here, and this is where I actually use some emojis directly in code, but you can see that I have, for example, when the user gets 3 diamonds, the result from the evaluator should be 3 diamonds, right? And that's what we're getting back. And so I can evaluate that against my position objects, and each game has its own positions. So if we come and look at slots, just for a simple example, you can see that I have position, and 3 diamonds is a very specific object inside my position. It's where you have 3 diamonds. This is the symbol. This is the name if I need to say it out loud. These are the odds. This is how I pay you if you were to get that. And this is a thing inside position. So when I look at my tests for slots, I can say if I give the evaluator 3 individual diamonds as an array, because that's how we pass these values back and forth, then I would expect the result to say, hey, you got 3 diamonds. The same goes for lemons and bells. And then we have some other ones, right? There's bell, bell, diamond. That gives me 2 bells diamond is a specific winning case. We have 3 grapes diamond, 3 oranges diamond. And then we have 3 cherries, 2 cherries, and 1 cherry. And the thing about cherries that is unique from the other ones is that it only matters what you have at the beginning. So if I have 1 cherry at the beginning, it does not matter what the other 2 items are. If I have 2 cherries at the beginning, it doesn't matter what the 3rd item is, except, of course, if it's a cherry, which is 3 cherries. So each of these cases is written in such a way to make sure that if I pass in a value that I expect, then I should get a value back that I expect, right? And that's basically how all of this testing works. So that's the tests for slots, and it's pretty simple and straightforward. One of the other things that we haven't really done, and we should write some additional tests for this, is what if I do this? What if I just flip the order? So we're going to take the cherry, and we're going to put it at the end, like that. Hello, Kevin Evans. Good morning. This should return nothing, but I actually don't know what it returns, because I don't think I have a nothing case. I did at one point, but I do not have a nothing case. So I have to think about, I think it should come back as undefined. So let's try this. We're going to take this, like so. And we're just going to put the cherry there. So I would expect this to be undefined, I think. Because there just won't be a result. So the cool thing about this, I'm going to run this. This is actually running all of my tests, which are currently passing. So we'll do npm run test. And it's going through and it's running each of my tests. So hopefully slots succeeds, and it did. That's great. So I would expect that if a cherry is in the second spot, that I get nothing. I should say undefined here. Undefined. So that still passes. And these are other things that if I really wanted to, I could probably come up with every permutation of outcome. I don't know that tests are necessary for that, but I do want to make sure that one cherry in the wrong place doesn't give me the correct result. And I've written the code for all of this, so I know that my slots logic is sound. But it's good to have these tests here, because if you go back and change something later, if your tests start to fail, then you know you did something wrong. You know that you've broken something. So I feel good about slots. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on slots today. If we look at poker, poker's kind of a more elegant thing. I'm actually a big fan of this one. But the evaluator for this and the poker logic, which is what we're calling poker evaluator. Why can't I just open both files? I need to figure out why that happens. Poker evaluator. Okay, so if we look at this, you can see that I'm bringing in both poker and deck, and that's because I need to create a deck of cards on the fly that's very specific. I can't count on randomization. So what I want to do here is you can see that I have the ace, king, queen, jack, and 10 of hearts. Each one of them is assigned hearts as well, and this is how I transport all of my decks of cards, right? You can see it's just an array of objects, and those objects have a suit and a value property, and those suit and value properties have hearts and values, or suits and values. So this one is a royal flush. So I would expect when I send this to the evaluator that it comes back as a royal flush. And so you can see here that in this case, I've done king, queen, jack, ace, 10. This is another thing that is very, very important in my evaluator, and I'll show you that in just a second. But you can see in this case, I'm passing them in order. Ace, king, queen, jack, 10. And in this case, I'm not. I'm doing king, queen, jack, ace, 10. I want to make sure that even if they're not in the right order, that it is sorting them properly and that it is still identifying that it's the correct hand, right? Even if they're not in the right order. And so you can see that I'm doing that for a number of things here. I have straight flush, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have a straight flush that's 2, 3, 4, 5, ace, right? So I've just reordered them. And then I do this for every kind of hand all the way down to a pair. And then I do have a poker position, which is nothing. I thought. How is that test passing? Oh, because nothing doesn't exist. So we could change this to undefined and it would still pass. Because nothing is undefined. Okay. So this, let me change this to undefined also. Undefined. So the idea behind this test is to make sure that when I have ace, 2, 7, 8, 9 of different suits, that I'm not coming back with anything. Because that is a nothing hand. There's nothing there at all. And I want to make sure that we're really clear on that as our tests run. So again, if I go back and look at my tests, maybe, and we run through these, the poker one should pass just fine. Oh, no, it doesn't pass. And this is actually something that I need to look at. So the challenge I have right now is with poker specifically. These tests were written when it was a one and done game. You called in, everything happened, and the game was closed, and you were completed. But video poker doesn't work that way anymore. And so, what we need to do, I ran this poker play. This is the one that failed. And this is where I think I left myself a note, maybe not here, but probably in my to-do list, which is that we need to write all the tests, and we need a good cleanup function. I worked on this a little bit last night, and that was where I was realizing that this poker play is going to be a bit of a challenge for me. So the thing that we need to do is we have this reset user function, and I call this before every single test. You can see at the very beginning, before each, user equals reset user. And I'm basically just setting my user object to a record ID, an available balance, and a balance. But the thing that we're not doing is getting into the data. And so if we look at the database, you can see that my test user, this one here, has a balance of 100 and now an available balance of 90 because we made a wager the first time we ran the tests. So I feel like what I really need to do is build myself a mechanism. Oh man, Kevin, I wanted to be famous. Well, that's too bad. We missed out on being famous. Let's see if we can solve this. Goodbye. I really don't understand the purpose of that. Who's following those? Who's doing that? Can I delete messages too? I'd like to just get rid of that. Anyway, not a big deal. But what I need to do is write myself some functionality that will allow me to delete the game that was created, the wager that was created, and kind of get all that stuff back out of here so that we don't run into issues when we run our test the second time. So this was actually one of the first things that I wanted to do today, and I wanted to show you the poker evaluator because I think this is kind of cool. When we look at the poker logic, the actual evaluator itself, this is pretty cool. The way it works is I sort the hand, right? So I'm coming in and I'm sorting the hand from high value to low value, and aces are actually set at a value of 14, kings are 13, queens are 12, jacks are 11, 10, and all the way down to 2. So we sort the hand by value, and then this is the entirety of our logic. Now there's functions for each of these, obviously, but this is really all we're doing. Is it a royal flush? If it is, okay, return royal flush. So let's look at what royal flush is. Well, a royal flush is a straight flush where the furthest right card in my sort order should have a value of 10. Right? So if it's a straight flush, that means all the cards are the same suit, and all the cards are in order, and the far right value is 10. So 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That should be a royal flush. You can see for straight flush, I'm actually checking to see, is it a straight and is it a flush? So this allows me to check and say, hey, is it all the same suit? Hey, are they in order? And that does that. We also have things like, is it a full house? This one gets a little more complex because what we're actually checking is, do the values of the first card, the second card, and the third card all match each other? And then do the fourth and fifth cards match each other? Or do the values of the first and second cards match and the values of the third, fourth, and fifth cards match? So this is where the pair is higher than 3 of a kind, or if 3 of a kind is higher than the pair. Otherwise, we return false. And so all of these are just Boolean functions that tell me whether or not those things are true, and they kind of stack on top of each other. So when I want to check for a flush, I just check for a flush, and I'm just checking to make sure the suits for all of the cards match. For a straight, I'm making sure that they are in order, right? So the value of the first card matches the value of the second card plus 1. The value of the first card matches, the value of the second card matches the third card plus 1, and on and on. And the one exception to that, of course, is when there's an ace. And so for this one, I have to say, if the first card is 14, and the second card is 5, and the third card is 4, and the fourth card is 3, and the fourth card is 2, then that's also a straight, because it's going to sort them in the wrong order for me, because, like I said, I assigned aces as 14. Then is 3 of a kind, is 2 pair, is 1 pair, and then we also have some things to tell us, like, what kind of pair was it, right? Was it a pair of 4s or a pair of 9s or whatever? So that's the actual evaluator. We just work through these functions. Now, the real secret to all of this is that you have to start with the highest ranked hand and go to the lowest ranked hand. This would fail if I asked these if statements in a different order. Because if I ask if it's a pair, but it's actually 3 of a kind, the pair is going to return true, right? Because there is a pair. And so my logic is very, very dependent on asking these questions in the right order. Because without this order, everything falls apart. So Anyway, that's my evaluator. So poker play, this is the thing that I was playing with a little bit last night and I need to fix. So what I want to do is add some functions to my data service. I have a couple here. I'll stretch this back out. So I have like get wagers by user. And if you look at this function, you can see that I'm basically just calling out to Airtable, but I only am getting their wagers that are active. Well, that's not what I want. I want a function that is all of their wagers, not just the active ones. And it makes me want to rename this to get active wagers by user, but I don't want to go rewrite a bunch of code. So I think what I'm going to do instead is I'm just going to call this get all wagers by user. Because I'm going to need to get all of these. I don't think I can do a bulk delete. I don't think I can do that. Let me check. If I look at my wager table and I want to delete records, yeah, you have to pass in record IDs. So I'm going to need the record IDs of all of their wagers. Okay, so with that being the case, let's take get wagers by user. And we're going to say get all wagers by user. And we'll just change this up a little bit. So get all and get all. And in here there's an index somewhere. Get all. Get all wagers by user. And that's not even really what I should say. I should say by user. Yeah, I guess I'll just pass in the user and then I'll figure it out. Okay, so that's get all wagers by user. And down here we got to add this, get all wagers by user. So that's working. Now we need to go back to our actual code and see about getting rid of this status active because I don't care about that. So this should be all the excuse me, this should be all the wagers for a user, and I don't even care about this sort order stuff. So this calls out to the wager table, passes in a user record ID, and then returns all the records. Perfect. So when I think about my, I've already got too many files open. I don't need the poker evaluator. What I need is the tests. Poker play test. This is the file that we're working on. Okay, so what we need to do is have a, how do I want to do this? Because I can see times where I may need to use these functions for other things, but it's primarily for testing. Let's see if we can bump this stool up a little bit. Okay, sitting is good sometimes. So what I really want to do is every time that I run a test, I want to reset everything. I will take responsibility inside a test to create a game, create a second game, make all that stuff do what it's supposed to do, right? Pass the cards. We can do all of that. But I feel like between tests, I want each test to kind of be standalone. I don't want it to be dependent on a game being open or existing already. So when I call reset user, what I need to do is how do I want to do this? I also don't want my test to call the database a billion times, but I think I'm going to have to. so we'll say const reset equals await data dot, we're just going to call this like reset test user. This is going to be a harness for everything else. And then I can take this piece. Yeah, maybe we can make this a lot easier on ourselves. So we'll take this and let's create a new function in data that is reset test user.js. And this is going to be a async function reset test user. Don't take any parameters. Reset test user. And then in here, I need a C. Let that better. And then in here, we'll just return this. This is the thing that I've been using as kind of my default for why does that look so ugly? Okay. So this is the default like return value that I'm using. And I don't think this is ever really going to change. This is what I want to start each test with. But what this means is in here, I can get rid of all of this. I can take this thing, Control X, and get rid of all this. Again, remember, we're just writing test code. This isn't even the code that runs our app. So now we can say user equals await reset test user. So we have data already, so we're calling data.reset test user. I haven't assigned that to the index and everything, so let's do that next. But this should give us everything we need. Let's take this. We're going to need this value key a couple times. Index, we have QRS, const reset test user equals here. Okay, so we now have this reset test user function, and I should be able to see this now. It returns a user record that has fields. That's perfect. So yeah, I think this will work. So reset test user. Now we need to start doing the hard work, which is deleting everything. So we're going to have a, let's see, const wagers equals delete all user wagers. I'm making this up obviously as I go. This function doesn't exist yet. But we're going to do a const data equals require data. And then inside our test here, we're going to say data dot delete all user wagers. And we're going to pass in our user. So I guess we should create that up here. Const user equals and then we'll just return user at the end since we're not really changing it. So this is our user object, right? So we have a record ID. That's the thing that I really care about. An available balance and a balance. I'm using those to pass back, but I don't need them for this part. Delete all user wagers. So this is going to be the thing that's going to go in and just it's going to blow away any wagers in the wager table that match the user ID. And I think I already have a delete user wagers by position. So we'll use something like this to delete all of them. So we're going to call this delete all user wagers. And I don't need this. Delete all user wagers. And all we need is user to be passed in. This should be pretty straightforward. So we created a get all wagers by user. That's this. This is the thing that does all the things. So we need get all wagers by user. And this is where we passed in our user object. So the same user just gets passed through. I don't care amount. I don't care about that. If wagers.length is greater than 0, I guess I should do that. What am I doing here? I don't need this amount. I just need to loop through them, get a delete array of all of the record IDs for the wagers. Then I need to call wager, and I need to send in the delete array. And I can resolve deleted record. That's fine. Okay, so what it does is it passes me back the list of records that have been deleted, and then I can just return those. I'm not going to use them, but at least I have that as an option. So this is delete all user wagers. This feels like it needs a safeguard. I would hate to call this on a real user, but I don't expect to do this accidentally. Delete all user wagers. So if we come back and look at our poker test, reset test user is here. The first thing reset test user is going to do is delete all user wagers. We can't do that first, though, because we have other records that we need to deal with. So we don't want to sever our ties, but if we look at video poker, we can see in here, I should bring that in. So let's do a lookup. We'll call this user ID. But we should be able to do a lookup on the game table. I want this user ID. So now I have that user, which is this bottom one here, this 8CLA. If I look at this user, this is 8CLA, my test user. So I need to also check, this does have a user ID also. Okay. So I need to do delete roulette records. These are applied to, oh man, this has a user ID too. So we're gonna have to do this for all of these, which is fine. It's just more work, but really not very hard. So let's start with video poker, roulette, and craps. We're going to have to do those first. So let's just write these out. Const video poker equals data dot delete all video poker hands by user. We're obviously going to have to create all these things. Thank you, Kevin. I also noticed that I wrote date, not delete. I don't know why I did that. So this is going to be all roulette spins. And what was the other one? Craps? Craps rolls. We'll call it craps rolls. Delete all craps rolls by user. And this needs to be roulette. This needs to be craps. And we don't have any slots issues because those will just be in the wagers. Then we're going to need a I think we'll be able to wrap these all in an await statement without having to do each one individually, but this is going to be games, await data.delete all games by user. And I think that'll do it. So if we do craps, roulette, and video poker, and then we do wager, and then we do game, we should have eliminated all of the records for that individual user. So now we just have to build that stuff. So delete all video poker hands by user. This should be pretty easy. It should be a lot like the delete we already did. All user wagers. It should be very... No, not this one. There was... What was the other delete we did? Delete all... Get all wagers by user? No. What was I just working on where it seemed like this was really easy? Oh yeah, I'm going to have to do 2 steps. I'm going to have to get them all, and then I'm going to have to delete, then submit a delete for them. Yeah, Kevin, I'm with you, man. But man, this is going to be so good for this eventually, because I will have a really good grasp on when I make a change, did I break something? And that's not something that I have right now. So we're going to need to do these. So let's do a file save as. And we're going to need a get all video poker hands by user. And I can see how this would be used other places too, right? I could get all of their hands, and then I could give them some analytics or something. Video poker. And user ID is this. That's it. Like, that's it. That's all I have to do. So I need to call this the right thing. I actually don't need to, but it's the right practice. Get all video poker hands by user. And then that becomes this down here. Glorious. All right. Then we come into index. We need to list it here. Get. Right here. Const. I was wondering if I had enough functions here. Anyone know? Require. Get video poker hands by user. Okay, so that gets them all. Now let's do the same thing for, this is just the getting, right? But we'll save as. This is going to become roulette spins by user. Roulette spins. Okay. And then we need to add that to the index. Get all roulette spins by user. All right. And then we need a get all craps rolls this becomes that, and that, and this becomes craps, and that should be good. Okay, so now we need to just add this to the index. Get all craps roles. All right, so let's take a step back. Now that we've created the get all, let's look at reset test user. So we now need to call this delete all video poker hands by user. And I don't think that I have that yet, do I? Delete all user wagers. This is really going to be the thing that I do each time. So we'll take this and we'll say delete all video poker hands by user. This should be get all video poker hands by user. And then the rest of it's pretty much, this just becomes video poker. There's going to be so much broken here. That all looks good. Get all video poker hands by user. This is called get all video poker hands by user. Get all video, yes, delete all video poker hands by user. Great. This is not correct. This needs to be data dot. Oh, no, it doesn't. How did I think I was doing that before? Const data equals can I just do that? Delete all user wagers by position. Oh, that's what I was doing. I have to import just the function itself. Okay. Get all equals require get all. Okay, that makes more sense now. So I was like, how am I calling that function? But that makes more sense. So now I'm calling get all video poker hands by user. I'm looping through them and deleting. Yeah, this should be good. Okay, so let's do the same thing for roulette. So save as. Delete all roulette spins by user. Delete all roulette spins. Get all roulette spins. And delete all roulette spins, like so. Okay. Let's check our work. Delete all roulette spins, get all roulette spins. Calling the roulette table, delete all roulette spins by user. Get all roulette spins by user. It's called over here, get all roulette spins by user. Great. Save. And then let's save this as delete craps rolls. So this becomes craps rolls. This needs to be craps. Okay, so now if we look at this, Delete all video poker hands by user. Why isn't that coming back? Oh, I don't want to delete this one. This is the original. Okay. So what I see now is that I have delete all video poker hands by user, delete all roulette spins by user, delete all craps rolls, delete all user wagers. Did we create that? Delete all user wagers. This calls get all wagers by user. This is calling the wager table, so that's good. And then the last one is delete all games by user. I definitely have not created this yet. Do I have a get games by user record ID? Yeah, this is pretty close to what I want. So we'll do a file save as. Get all games by user. And all we're going to pass in here is the user itself. And then we will take user.fields.recordID as the thing we want. We don't want status active. And we don't care about game type. We just want all the games. So this should give us back a list of all of the games that a user has by a specific user ID. So, get all games by user. Now I can create delete all games by user. Delete all games by user. Okay. So, this should be get all games by user. Const get all games by user equals get all games. Okay, so this needs to be delete all games by user. Kevin, this is going to break, isn't it? Okay. So I think we've done all the things we can do. Get all games by user takes a user and gives the user.fields.recordID. That's what I want. Oh, man, this feels really clean. I don't know. We'll see. So reset test user. Creates this user, calls all these functions, and then returns the user. And then my poker, before each test, is going to do all of that. Man, okay. I don't want this test to fail because it's written poorly, so we'll just put that there. So let's do an npm run test and see what we get. Something's gonna break, for sure. Okay, one failed, but it could be a big fail. Expected the balance to be 90. I would expect that too. Their balance is 90. So when we pass in a user to play, this is where tests start to become handy. Our test is failing somehow. So let's look at what we're returning here. We're returning updated user. Updated user is get user by record ID. So what we do, let's do this. If I go to let's clean out my data just to make sure that it's all working properly. So let's take all of this. So now I'm not running any poker play tests, but I should still run my reset test user thing. So let's go see if that's actually working. Man, if this all works, that'd be amazing. Cannot use the word await. Poker play test. Where am I using await? Oh. So that definitely wasn't getting called. Let's make sure that our calls are happening. Poker. One still failed. Cannot use the word keyword await outside an async function. I don't think that's where it goes. Now we're getting somewhere. All right. So it's saying that data delete all video poker hands by user is not a function. Oh yeah, I didn't put them in here. Okay. That's fair. Delete all video poker hands by user equals delete all roulette spins by user. Okay. How do you like me now? Data.delete all video poker hands by user. Certainly seems like it does. What can I do to tell it that it does exist? Delete all video poker hands by user. Delete all video poker hands by user. Well, the value should match on return, but that's not actually. I don't think that's actually the issue. It's saying that I have an error here first, which is that the function doesn't even exist. That's just the test that we're running, but the test doesn't actually even do anything yet. I'm failing on the resetting stuff. Well, why would you think that my function doesn't exist? Take this part out. Let's do it in our test. Man. So if we look at reset test user, data certainly seems like it's looking at the right place. mean, could that be it? That I'm not returning something in some cases? Okay. What if I do a... I had this issue the other day, too. That's weird. I mean, that solved it, but I just don't understand why it solved it. Oh, I think it's because I'm in the same directory. So let's just do this. Good morning, Mr. Oh, is it not running? I thought it was running. All right, that's back. I checked it this morning. I thought it was working. Good morning, Mr. Smoofy. Good morning, W. Giorgio. The casino's back. Sorry about that. So we're just we're fixing up some tests here. No big. What we're building is a reset function basically for our test user, so that we can delete out all of the data we create by running our tests. We want to also delete all of it. And so what we're doing here is creating basically a function that we can call that will delete all traces of a user. But we only plan on calling this from our test. Okay, Mr. Smoothie, thanks, man. All right, let's try this. Okay, get all wagers by user is not defined. Delete all user wagers, so we want to look at delete all user wagers. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Const get all wagers by user equals get all wagers by user. It's a good catch. Nice little two pair there, Kevin Evans. Still something's broken. And that is records must be an array of up to 10 record IDs. So I must have been passing more than that? Let's take a look at our data. Test user, how many game records you got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, too many. So let's do this manually once for you. We'll go through craps. I don't think I have any for you for craps. Roulette. Anything without a game ID or user ID is garbage. Video, so that's all me. Video poker seems to be all me. Wagers. Definitely have wagers. Delete 13 records. And then games, all the test user games. So we just had too many. But this won't happen now because this is just our test user. W. Giorgio, what do you mean? Aren't even close to the same amount. Oh, you mean like the number of skills that are available? Yeah, I think there have been a lot more Alexa skills built than Google Actions. I think that's the case. Okay, all of our tests have passed. That is a glorious moment. So Kevin, all of my test code, all of the destroy and delete and all that stuff works, assuming you follow the rules of Airtable. That's pretty awesome. So let's get all of these things closed and get back to what we were doing. Which is we can take this line out, bring this back. This should still work. And then I think we can bring these back. And this should pass. Now's the moment of truth. Do these tests pass? I guess what I was saying, Kevin, is no glue needed. Come on, pass. Ha ha! You have been defeated. Now, the challenge is when I run it again, because those records are still there right now. If I look at this, those records still exist, but when I run the test the next time, they should be wiped out. So let's see how that goes. Ooh. Failed. Okay. Expected 90, received 150. But if I do before each, it shouldn't matter that they had slots, bets, and stuff like that, because those should all be deleted. Unless it's all happening too fast. But I don't think it is. If we run this, watch our data, those records should be deleted, and they are. And then we're doing video poker, and then we're doing slots. And the users, the test users, current balance is 160. Because I incremented their balance at some point. Oh, so I also need to reset their balance to 100. Okay. I actually have a function for this, so this shouldn't be too hard. if we go to the reset user, reset test user, wherever that is, in here I have this record, so I think I can just do const updated user equals await, and this is just update balance, and this takes a user that's not going to let me do what I want to do, because update balance takes user and winnings and then adds them together. Oh, maybe I can do that, because balance is 100. Yeah, I can do that. So I can just do user and 0. And it added that at the top for me. That's so nice. Okay, so now all my tests passed. So will they pass again? Like, I need them to be able to consistently pass without anything breaking. They did. Gang, it looks like we are in business. We are now resetting our user every single time. And so consistently, I should be able to run these tests. It's purging all of the data for this user, resetting their balance to 100, running all of my tests, and validating that things should work. All right, that's good. That's really good. So now we can write a few more tests. So now we'll take this one. I'm going to have to do a couple more steps on this, though. So what I do here is I do await poker.play. This is what creates the game the first time. And then I'm going to say next result. Now let's do first result, and then I can call the other one result. This time it should pass back and say, hey, your status is active game. I haven't changed your balance. It should be whatever I just had a moment ago. Let's see, because this is what happens basically if a game is already active for a user. Let's see if this works. Oh, yeah. Okay. We are cooking with gas, gang. Although I didn't save that file, so let's try that again. If you don't save your files, they don't work. I don't like how long poker still. Oh, it just took a long time. I'm okay with that. We're doing a lot. So it passed. So this is basically, I started a poker game, then I started another poker game. Copper Beardy with the rating party of 11. Good morning, everybody. Thank you all for joining. We're here building a casino for Alexa, but there's also a casino running here in the chat. And so each of you, just by typing something in the chat, you get yourself a starting 100 coins to play with. And every time you post a message in chat, you earn one more. But you can play things like slots and poker and roulette. And you can follow along. We're building a bunch of unit tests to wrap around our casino, as you can see here. So we have things for poker and roulette and slots and craps. Craps is the next big piece that we want to bite off because there's a lot of rules to that. And I don't even know that we're going to get to the craps stuff today. But that's what's going on. So welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here. My name is Jeff Blankenburg. I do this every day from 9 to 11. And would certainly appreciate the follow if you guys have it in you. So that is what we're doing. We just wrote a rig that basically goes, we built an entire reset test user rig so that every time we run tests, we go through and we delete all of our data back out of the database for that specific user. And we can then go forward and run as many tests as we want, knowing that we're working with a clean slate every time. And if we don't want a clean slate, like I just did here, I can make multiple calls to my play function for poker, for example. For those of you that aren't familiar with video poker, you put a coin in the machine or credits or whatever, and it deals you 5 cards, and then it waits. And it's not until you make some choices and say spin by pushing a very specific button that it will actually finish the game for you. So there's this kind of mid-state waiting game. And so what we're doing here is checking to say, like, hey, we create a game here first. This is video poker. And then in this second line, we want to. This is the user trying to create a game again. They don't realize that they have a game waiting for them. And so we want to make sure that we're preserving that initial game for them. So we just push back and say, hey, dude, you already have an active game. I haven't changed your balance. I haven't accepted your bet. But here's the cards you have. Why don't you finish up that game before you start the next one? So that is that's what's happening here with us calling the same function twice. The big one for me with poker is being able to make sure that all the hands evaluate. And you can see we've got lots and lots of conditions for checking to make sure it returns a pair or it returns a straight or whatever. Craps is the one that's going to get pretty tricky. And I have a bunch of conditions here that are, basically making sure that if you roll a 1 and a 1 and there's no point, we can get into the rules of craps if you don't know it, but if you roll 1 and a 1 when there's no point, then we expect 1 roll 2 to be a winner. And if you roll 1 and 1 when there is a point, we also expect it to be a winner, right? So we've basically gone through and said if they roll a 2 or a 3 or a 4, because you roll 2 dice in the game of craps. And so we've basically said if a specific outcome is rolled, whether there's a point or there's not a point, what should happen? And one of the things that this testing setup has that we haven't done yet, all these tests are passing, which is good news. One thing we haven't done is verify that bets are allowed to be made. And this is a set of rules that I don't have handy, and I'm going to have to try to write them down, I guess. I have a couple of video-based, like apps on my phone that allow me to play craps, and I can see very clearly that at certain times, certain bets are not allowed. I also know that there are certain times where certain bets are not allowed to be removed. So that's something else that we'll need to build into our functionality is the ability to remove a bet from the table. Like, hey, I had a hard 4, but I want to bring that bet back or whatever. So there's a lot of logic, I think, that needs to go into thinking about how we're going to handle the betting in craps, because it's going to be a lot. It already is a lot, right? We have 343 lines of tests, and we've only scratched the surface. We've basically made sure that the right conditions are coming back at the right times, but what we're not validating is that if, for example, you try to bet on the pass line, are you allowed to do that, right? So let's create a new file for that, because we're going to need it for sure, and that's craps.play.test.js. Do I really need anything in here? I guess I need the craps part and the data part. But it doesn't like it if I don't have at least one test, so we'll have to do one of those too. Oh, that's the other thing that I should do while I'm here. I'm in the poker testing thing, and I have this before each. I should do this in the slots play. And that allows me to get rid of this little remnant. This was going to become some baggage very quickly. And then I have poker play, and now we're starting craps play, and Roulette play we don't have yet either. So craps play, we just have this stuff. We'll need to reset all the bets. Oh, not that. How about that? Okay, and then we need to actually write a test. So let's look at the syntax for a test, and we'll just use that. So this is craps. And we'll just do one of these, and one of these, and one of these. I think that's sufficient. I don't think you actually have to do anything in the test. You just have to have one. This we will want to be craps. So we'll continue on with that. And we have enough rigging, I think, to build the roulette one as well. So we'll do that. Roulette.play.test.js. And this needs to be roulette. Okay, now what's cool about this is that the tests for playing poker and roulette and craps and slots, they're really not that different, right? There's a few things that I really need to check. And a good example of that, if we look at the slots one, no, not slots one, the poker one, I guess, is if we look at this, like, I want to make sure the values should match on return. So what I do is I pass in my user object and a wager. And what I expect to come back is that the user record ID is exactly the same because I pass it back to let the user know, the interface know who the user is. I also have the wager. I want to pass that back and say, yeah, I bet 10 for you. I want to make sure that I'm being really clear as part of my interface, that I know exactly what's going on. I'm passing the right values back. And then this test here is making sure that, in fact, because I've made a bet of 10, their available balance is no longer 100. Now it's 90 because they've locked up a bet. They've locked up 10 coins as a bet. So that's what should happen. And what's nice about this is for poker and for roulette and for craps, that's true for all of them. In fact, let's just take this test to each of them. And we'll need to do a craps version of this. And this needs to be, is it craps.play? Is that what I called it? Craps.play, okay. So this is the only change, really. And that should be enough. Everything else should funnel through. And then we'll do the same thing for roulette because same idea. So this is going to be roulette.play. Roulette.play. Okay, let's run some tests and see what we get. Craps. Ooh. Okay, so some things broke. This is good. This is why we write tests. So, oh, roulette is not, oh, because I left the name poker in there. Roulette. Craps. Okay, better. For those of you that are new here, if you want to try out the casino, it's there in the chat. It's pretty fun, and some people have gotten a ton of obviously fake money from playing. Okay, what did we do wrong here? On the slots one, slots playtest. Well, yeah, if you don't include data. What? Okay, so is craps not returning? So let's look at craps.play first. Deal with one test at a time. Data craps play. So when I return my values down here at the bottom, where's updated user? Updated user should most certainly have, I'm bringing the whole user back. So, oh, I'm not passing the wager back. And why am I not passing the wager back? We can do that. I don't know why I'm not. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Oh, I see, because when I play the game, yeah, that makes sense. Okay. We're not testing the right thing. Craps.play.test is not actually what I want. And poker.play.test is not really what I want either. What I want to test is craps.wager. Let's just create a new test file for that. Wow, Mr. Smoofy, is that 72 million? So what I want is craps.wager here. That's fine. We'll leave it. We'll leave this all together. And then the same thing should be done for roulette. Roulette.wager. Poker is different because, is it different? I don't have a wager function. I only have the play function. So I have play and deal. I probably should have called these deal and play, but that's okay. All right, let's try this again. Still some things that are wrong. Okay. If I think about we're in craps, right? That's the one that's let's go look at craps.wager first. Get rid of any comments that are in there. Okay. Let's clear this and run it again. That's 242 million, Mr. Smoofy. That's amazing. Grab a screenshot of that one. Okay, we're still failing, but cannot read property fields. Boy, something's broken here. Okay. Can I just, if we dig into this, if I go cd lambda, cd chat, cno, can I just do like, how do I run an individual test file in Jest? I always just call the command, but how do I run an individual Jest bar spec JS. Okay, that's kind of what I was thinking it would be. I just wanted to confirm. So in here we'll go to cd test, and now we're going to say jest craps play test JS. What? Okay, so it's probably because I definitely have it installed here. So what if I say jest test craps.play.test.js? Come on. Pretty sure I already have Jest installed on my machine because that's how we're running all these tests. Surly Dev with the big bet. Nice. Oh, you lost 123 though. I'm so sorry. I thought that was going to be a win for you. All right. Can I do this now? If I go to cd test, can I do jest craps play test JS? But now we can look and see what's happening with just that one thing. So why are there no bets for craps? So what do we do here? If they try to make a bet, then we create a game for them, so they should have a game. Surly Dev, do those instructions make sense? Oh, Surly Dev's on the hunt, already over 100,000. Oh, you don't know what the positions are for craps. I think you can do... I think you can just do like positions. Oh, position. Position craps. There you go. So you can type position and then it'll tell you what the things are. You can do that for roulette as well. So I would expect... It's 10:30 already? I would expect... If we look at our data... Craps... It's not doing it. But if I create a game here, if I say bet 5 on the pass line...
There was a problem with the requested skills response.
Oh, it helps if you start the skill.
There was a problem with the requested
Helps if you
skills
start the
response.
service. On the right one. npm, let's go, npm run dev. Okay, now that our service is up and running,
Welcome to the Chatsino. You currently have 1,858 coins available. What would you like to do?
bet 5 on the pass line.
You wagered 5 coins on pass line. What would you like to do next? You can place another bet, or you can say, roll the dice, when you're ready. You rolled 12. It was a 6 and a 6. You pushed on this roll. No wins, no losses. Which brings your total to 1855. The point is...
Surly Dev, that's a really good point. I will have to do that when I'm reworking this chatbot, so the one that you're playing on right now.
You rolled 6. It was a 4 and a 2. You pushed on this roll. No wins, no losses. Which brings your total to 1856. The point is currently 10. What would you like to do now?
So, I have completely rewritten the entire casino engine for this Alexa skill, but I've written it with... it's good, Surly Dev. I like this stuff. So I've written it with the idea that the engine, the casino engine, will be easily ported between the Alexa skill and a chatbot here, and a chatbot on Slack, and a chatbot on Discord. In all of those places, it'll even... ideally be set up where it's you, the same user, in every place. So this is something we're going to have to play with a little bit. But right now we're running on like my V1 of the casino, and it works. But eventually we will have to flip over and move to this newer, more robust version for sure. But this stuff's all working, so I wonder why my test isn't working.
You rolled 10. It was a 6 and a 4.
Nice.
You bet 5 on pass line and won 5 coins. You bet 5 on pass...
So the other thing that we need to do then is let's look at our test. It feels like there's something wrong with our test. So in here we're saying craps wager. What does craps wager expect? User wager position. I'm not providing a position, so it's pushing back and saying, dude, you're an idiot. That's the problem. So let's do... What does expect for a position? Just the word, okay. So my test is broken. We're going to bet 10, but we're going to bet it on pass. Okay. So now let's see if our test passes. I think that was the issue. And to do that, I have to kill the service, skill service. npm run test. That's going to be the same problem with roulette. Okay, so what else failed? The values still don't match. Do I have the data showing up at least? So if I look at games, here's an active video poker game. Goodness. That's certainly a broken part of this. And we probably need to fix roulette too. Nope, roulette looks good. But this needs a position also. Awesome, Surly Dev. One of the other benefits that I'm going to give people here on my channel is if you subscribe to this channel, my entire casino will install itself on your channel. But you're welcome to, if you want to bring a bot over here, that's totally fine. But that's something I'm planning to make available to everybody, is the casino that you see running here. You subscribe to me, boom, you get the casino on your channel. And it's all the same users and the same balances and same everything. So it's just another place they'll be able to play. But that's something I'm toying with. I haven't obviously done any of that yet, but I want to get the bot working, and then we'll worry about installing it out other places. But that's my hope. I think it could be pretty cool. Yep, Surly Dev, that's exactly right. So you can, like, your balance automatically travels to every place because it's just using your username as your identifier, and so you can travel from place to place, and it'll always know who you are. I have it running on like 5 or 6 people's channels right now, but I think what I'm going to eventually do is just set it up so that the service recognizes who's subscribed, and then anybody that is subscribed, it'll automatically be running on their channels. The other cool thing about this is that the balances will travel across not just this, but Discord and Twitch, and if I can do it, Twitter, and like any place you can enter text, really. I'm going to try and get the same casino running the same way with the same balance so that you can like join all of your accounts, and it'll know that you're this person on Twitter, this person on Discord, this person on this, right? So there's a lot more work to be done before we get there. But yeah, it's linking and being able to identify the user are different. And so I have to figure out exactly how I'm going to approach that. But yeah, that's the hope, man. That's the hope. That's where we're headed. So, okay, I fixed a few bugs here. Let's see if we can't at least pass a few more tests. Right now we had 4 fail. Two failed. Okay, we're down to 2. Yeah, Surly Dev, I have a lot of plans to like play into these ecosystems and do a lot of things. Basically, the casino is going to be this standalone thing that can do its stuff, and then each individual interface will be able to participate the way it makes sense. So like the Alexa skill obviously has sound effects and all sorts of cool things there. Yeah, exactly, Surly. So you're in my brain space now. This is what I'm thinking about doing, is building out something cool like that. So, well, yeah, that's going to fail. Slots. Play test. You need 2 dots if you're going up a directory, Jeff. Let's see if that gets us down to 1 failed test. Yeah, that's another thing. It's actually, check this out, Surly Dev. If we come down here to general features, on-stream lights and browser sources for big wins. That's on my to-do list, man. There's lots and lots of big plans for this. We just have to figure out what it is. Now, how did I fail 3 tests this time? I'm not sure how I can do giving things away as much as I'd like to. That certainly would be in my plans, but I need to be very careful because Alexa certification guidelines. Let me show you some very specific legalese that I'm looking at here. So these are all things that your skill cannot do. Well, I want to give things away. And this says, enables end users to engage in gambling to win real money prizes or other tangible prizes that have an actual cash value. So what I don't know is what does the word gambling mean here? Does it mean wagering their own money, or does it mean playing in my free money casino? And if they're not risking any of their own money, can I give things away? Like if I was making revenue and I wanted to encourage more people to play, could I give $10 Amazon gift cards away for Royal Flushes or whatever? And those happen really infrequently. So I think I could probably swing that if I had revenue from ads or whatever else we figure out to do with this, or the subscriptions on Twitch or whatever. So I don't. That one concerns me a little bit, at least for the Alexa side. But I'm very interested in giving people incentive. Yeah, that's kind of my feel too. But they say engage in gambling. What is gambling? I know. I need to talk to our team of lawyers and see what that really means, because I'm definitely treading the line, whatever that is. Okay, well, let's run my test one more time and see where I'm failing, because I don't even know anymore. npm run test. Okay, so I know why the slots one's failing. The slots one, well, why is the slots one failing? So slots, user ID should match on return. I expect before each and each of these that I'm deleting everything that I need to delete. So let's just run the slots one. I'm running out of time here, but I really want this to work. CD lambda, chatsino, test, jest, slots.play.test.js. Okay, and so their available balance is 100. And you're saying that the balance was not 100? If I look at my test, I call slots.play. That creates a wager. I expect the user ID the record ID that I pass back. Maybe I'm just not passing it back. Maybe that's it. Slots.play. Although I feel like I should be. The thing that I pass back is user wager, and the user yeah, see, this is the one I wrote the old way. So let's look at cashier.resolve bets. This is maybe code I need to change. Cashier.resolve bets. This passes back wagers and user. And updated user is update balance. That's a function I'm familiar with. So that gets passed back to play. No. We want slots.play. Jomo, good morning. How are you? So this gets result.user. That should all be good. Then I pass back user here, and that lands here. So what it seems like I want to do is write out result. Let's see what we're getting back from this test anyway. I don't understand why this isn't working. So I have a user within fields. So let's do all of that. Looks right. Outcome, result, wager. Oh, but all the tests passed that time. Is it only not passing when I lose? That would be interesting. Or are you just saying that the test... No, that's another winning condition. Let's see if the losing... We need a losing condition. That's a winner too. Give me a losing condition. There we go. That's when my test fails. So I expect the balance to be 100 and you're receiving 90. And that is because if we look at play... We should just get the user again. This is broken. So I don't even really need that. Let's just say user equals get user by record ID, and the record ID get, what is the function that I called in poker play? Get user by record ID, and I'm just passing in. That's what I want. Okay, so let's do this. User equals await get user by record ID, and I passed user in here, so that should do. Okay, let's see if that helps our test pass. So on a losing condition, this should still be correct. And it's not. It still thinks it's 90. Why does it think it's 90? It's not 90. Their balance is 100. No, the tests are meant to make sure that when randomness is applied, that it filters to the right position. So if you look at like the poker evaluator test, I'm making sure that when I pass it a royal flush, that it actually, well, here's not royal flush. When I pass it a royal flush, it actually tells me it's a royal flush. And when I pass it nothing, like this thing down here at the bottom, that it actually returns me nothing. So I'm giving it the very specific conditions that I expect the randomness to sometimes generate, and I want to make sure that it's returning the appropriate things at the appropriate times. But no, I'm not trying to apply randomness to my tests. That's pretty hard. But this thing right here should be working. And so we're gonna do this. Take a look what's going on inside there. Because I don't understand how it can think the balance is 90 when very clearly it's not 90. That's a winning condition. That wins every time. Okay. You're making me angry now. Const fields equals user.fields. So annoying that this isn't working, and I can't even get to the bottom of why. That's a winner. Of course, it's going to pass. You didn't even write my thing out. I thought I was looking at that. That's not what I was looking at. Or is this it? Oh, here's fields. Okay. Why is the balance 90? That's so crazy to me. How can you go out to the database and retrieve this record right here and tell me that it's 90? The balance is clearly 100. Yeah, I've considered that, but I want to make sure, I want to make sure that I'm not ending up with any lag or file overlays. But yeah, I've definitely considered mocking out the database for these purposes, but I just don't understand why it thinks it's 90. Slots.play. I'm getting the user right there. I don't understand how it can think it's 90. Because I must be getting this record before we've deleted. No. So if I look at my wager, I should actually have a slots game for this user. Test user. Why does it think there's none? I'm running out of time. Slots. Oh, I see why. Maybe this is why. Could that be the issue? No, that's still not it. Man. All right, I got some work to do on this, but that's going to have to be it for me today because I've got so much else stuff to do. So much else stuff? So many other things. So we'll have to leave these tests alone for a little bit, but we made some good progress. I mean, we're running through most of these pretty soundly. So thank you, Mr. Smoofy. Congratulations on your 292 million coins. I wish you'd done that in a casino instead. I'll probably be around for some office hours this morning. Yeah. Joe, are you hosting office hours today? All right, I'll lurk around. I'll be there. So make sure you guys, if you haven't had an opportunity recently, tune into office hours. Those are at noon Eastern today. That's 9 a.m. Pacific. And Jomo Code is going to be there. Maybe I can get him to show me how to build a spinning roulette wheel in APL. That would be pretty awesome. Okay, thank you guys all for tuning in. I will see you all again tomorrow morning.